Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I haven't uploaded in a while. I'm sorry, I've been dealing with COVID. I've been dealing with a lot of other things. I'm here to bring you a different type of video today than others. A little history and a little thing. We're gonna talk a little bit about D-Day, okay? And when we're gonna talk about D-Day, we're gonna actually talk about some of the people who want to rag on movies such as Saving Private Ryan. So anybody who's studied history, studied D-Day, should really realize how accurate Saving Private Ryan was. Since the Utah Beach area where the Matt Damon character landed at and the beach right next to it, closest to it, those are both American sides, okay? People think that it was America, it was Canadian, it was British forces. No, it wasn't. They grouped them a lot together. And when they landed in Normandy to go in there, the closest group to Ryan would have been Tom Hanks's group. So let's get that out of the way first. Another thing about D-Day. D-Day had a lot of components to it that was very important. So, and there was a mistake made on one side, there was creativity on the other side. So let's talk about the mistake first. That was the turning point in World War II for the Allies. Remember, this is 1944. This is June 6, 1944. The final battle took place of the Normandy invasion of the forces. The final battle took place in, I believe, July 11th of 1945. So this was a long stake. And there was also a mistake on the British side. But the British mistake actually turned out to help the Normandy invasion even better. But let's talk about the mistake on the Axis side first. Adolf Hitler did not listen to Earl Rommel. The Desert Fox wanted to reinforce the Normandy beach area because he believed that the Allies could plan an attack there. And he believed it was coming soon. So he wanted to reinforce that more than it was already enforced. More than just the bunkers. He wanted to move his panzer divisions that he controlled into that area. Adolf Hitler flat out said, nope, we are not going to do that. We're going to move the panzer divisions up to this northern sector of the area of France. And what happened? That area, here comes the creator from the Allies here, the area that Hitler sent the panzer divisions to, and Earl Rommel, there was wooden ships that the Allies had built, fake ships, fake landing ships, that they sailed out into the ocean and made it look like they were invading there. So what happened is they actually sent more forces up into there as quickly as possible. This lightened the load for the Normandy beach invasions, the Normandy invasions in each sector. Some sectors had it harder than some others, some sectors didn't. But mostly and mainly, it was damn right a bad war. Battle. Multiple day battle. And it went hard. It was one of the deadliest battles of World War II. I'm not going to say it was the deadliest because you had Hitler invading Russia, the burnt soil method that went on there. That was a pretty bad one too. And remember, when D-Day, when Normandy's going on, people don't talk about how the Russians were flanking from the backside. So you had the Canadians, the British, and the Americans pushing in from the beach. And then from behind Hitler, you had the Soviet Union, the Russians, were moving in from this side. So you had a two-pronged attack where they basically encapsulated them. And this is actually a battle method. It's actually a hybrid version of a battle method that dates back to Alexander the Great, the Macedonian king who helped Greece conquer the known world at that time with his phalanx. So with the spears that came down, and then the cavalry that rode around to the backside and flanked. So you had a phalanx that was almost immovable unless you had another phalanx facing it, coming at soldiers who've never seen this, crushing them this way, and then a heavy cavalry crushing from the backside. That's how the Greeks beat the much powerful Persian army at that time. And if you would like a video on that history, let me know, and I'll do that. But, so, like I said, at the beginning of this video, I just want to knock out the fact that Saving Private Ryan, the beach landings and the American forces going in, was very accurate. It would have been hardly impossible, I would say, for any of the other Allied forces, the Canadians or the British, to move in. Now the Americans did meet up with some French resistant fighters later on, but that was again later on, closer to 1945, and the French freedom fighters helped take France back from the Germans and fight the Nazis like they were doing since 1941. But going back to D-Day, so you had these ships, the fake ships, move in while the real ships were going down to Normandy. Normandy, in Hitler's opinion, was not going to be a great place for them to land and attack due to the rocky nature of those beaches, the hilly nature of those beaches, and it wasn't really an ideal place to land. Go visit Normandy today. Go to France today. Take a look at the beach. They got it a little nicer now because a lot of tourists go there. A lot of people swim there. But go there and you can still see the torrents. You can still see what our Allied forces had to face when they faced the German army. Remember, in 1944, the Germans, the Axis powers, were still kicking some ass. In the Pacific, though, completely their story, we'll get to that later. Not in this video, but we'll get into the Pacific story on another video. And we're going to break Pacific down into one battle, into two main battles, and then the encroachment on the main island for an invasion there that never occurred since we dropped the bombs. But I'm going to do a little World War II history video collection. And now, the mess up from the Brits was pretty funny. They were trying to devise a tank that they could glide in and fly. The Germans, the Russians, a lot of people were doing this at this time. Since World War I, you had a lot of this. Well, the Brits actually landed 5 glider tanks up close to where the Panzers were, as the Panzers were making their way to Normandy. When they heard that the British had landed tanks above them, they turned around and started heading back. Now, here's a mistake from the Brits. Their glider system was completely bullshit. And only 2 tanks out of the 5 survived. And unfortunately, there was members of the British military that were in those tank crews that did lose their lives in the way, in the crash. And that's a unfortunate event. But that mistake kept those Panzer divisions led by Rommel making it to Normandy in time before July 11th, that final battle. And you need to understand the Tiger tank, the Panzer tanks, and all that. These were tough, hard tanks. They were probably the best tanks of World War II. And if you want a video of me breaking down specific military vehicles of World War II, let me know. I would love to talk about them. Especially the Messerschmitt 262 was the first fighter jet. German engineering at that time was great. That's why we stole the engine. That's why the Americans literally took the aeronautics and all of the V2 rocket information. And that's what really helped our space program. And we're going to talk about the space program too in another video coming up. But let's get back to D-Day. So, we landed on Normandy in 5 areas and we pushed up through. Utah is the one talked about the most. That was where the Army landed. The beach right above that is where the U.S. Marines also landed. Now let's talk about, you had the 82nd Airborne Division, who jumped behind enemy lines at the time and played a very major role. So did the 101, the 101st Airborne Division. So you had the AA, which is the All-Americans, which was the nickname of the 82nd, and then you had the Screaming Eagles of the 101. Now they're two similar divisions, but militarily, strategically, they're two completely different divisions. The 101st Ranger Division, which are not special forces per se, they are they're an air assault unit, meaning they're not going to parachute much, actually, believe it or not. At this time of World War II, they did. But the 82nd Division is an airborne division, and they drop in. And Nico Ortiz has a great video explaining the difference between the 82nd and the 101. Go check out Nico Ortiz's channel. Great veteran. He'll be able to help out a little bit better than I can when does explaining that in the video of that. Now, when D-Day landed, it was hard. The beach invasion alone was 3 days. For every sector, it was 3 days. And they pushed all the way back. Now, one thing about Saving Private Ryan, the town that they called the last battle of World War II, was a fictional town, but it was very close to the real town. And not the last battle of World War II, the last battle of the invasion of Normandy. Hold on, I'm gonna try to get the exact name of the town for you. So as we know, okay, so U.S. forces landed in Omaha, the Omaha beaches, of course, we know that. In the first day, there was 2,000 American casualties. And by the end of that day, there was 156,000 Allied troops had successfully stormed the beaches. So let's remember that. So this was codenamed Operation Neptune during that time. It was the liberation of France. We all know that. So Utah and Omaha were the American sectors. Gold was the Canadian sector. And Juno and Sword were the British sectors of this. And Utah and Omaha, where the Americans landed, of course, had a lot more casualties and a lot more of the fighting. Because, you know, us Americans, we stick it in there a little bit more. This is why, I want to say this right now, because of Omaha and Utah, this is why America says we won World War II. This specific battle right here. Now, remember, the Allies failed to achieve the first day in the cities of Sarantain, St. Lo, Bayou, whatever. Go to New Orleans all the time, but I can't pronounce French words. I'm sorry. They stayed in hands in sand. The main objective was not captured until the 21st of July. Only 2 of the beaches, Juno and Gold, were linked on the first day, and all 5 beachheads were not connected. So you gotta remember this. These beaches were actually separated on the Normandy coast. Utah and Omaha were separated. And then Juno and Gold, the middle beach, were the only 2 that were actually together, land-wise. And until the 12th, we're not connected until the 12th of June also. And military speaking, these means not every beachhead was actually captured until the 12th of June. Remember, June 6, 1944 was the landing. 12th of June, they captured every beach. That's how bad and hard this battle is. This is why we say that was the greatest generation. Those are some hard asses running face first into fucking 50mm bullets fired by the Germans. Tank fires, because there were tanks there. There were small, lightweight Panzer divisions that were there, but not the heavy Panzer divisions. You didn't have the Panzer II. You had the Panzer I there, which was a little bit soft. But you're talking about I believe it's a 60 millimeter cannon. Pretty hardcore right there. You had a big round coming at you, but this was the small calibers. The Panzers, which were the Panzer IIs and the Tiger tanks, which were heavily armored and just stacked out. The Panzer I only had a 20 millimeter machine gun, while the Panzers and Tigers had 50 millimeter machine guns. Now the Americans had the Modus, the M2, which we still use today, and that was our 50 caliber. Many of y'all know it because of the Barrett. If y'all watch Demolition Ranch and all them, the Barrett shoots the exact same round created by John Browning to shoot the M2, the Modus, the Deuce, and it's a sexy fucking gun. I'll tell you that right now. Now, so Operation Overlord, is the name established as a large-scale, legitimate. So Operation Overlord was the final codename. So Operation Neptune was the codename of the planning section. Operation Overlord was the main objective. So you had the landings preceded by airborne operations. We talked about that, and they landed in Sienne, which was behind the battle itself. And their whole goal was to capture a bridge. They wanted to capture the bridge. So the invasion plan determined on weather conditions. They had to make sure the weather was going to be great the day they did it. They even flew balloons up high, weather balloon type things, way up high in the sky to distract the German anti-aircraft bringing in. There was a lot of aircraft still shot down, but these balloons actually helped soften the blow and allow more troops to get in there. So, the 1st SS Panzer Division, Lebensstandart SS Adolf Hitler, the 9th, 11th, 19th, and 116th Panzer Divisions were assigned alongside the 2nd SS Panzer Division, Das Reich, had arrived. So they arrived in March of 1944. These are the 2 Panzer Divisions I'm talking about. But they were first generation. There were some second generation Panzers in there, but these were mostly the lighter weight ones. As, like I said, Earl Rommel was divided and didn't really do a lot. So Earl Rommel actually returned to Germany for his wife's birthday to meet with Hitler to try to obtain more Panzers, which he could not get. Because, like I said, him and Hitler were out at this time. And Rommel actually lost faith in Hitler back in 1942, 1943. Hitler started treating him like crap after his victories in Northern Africa. Hitler pulled him out. After Patton kicked his ass, Hitler pulled him out instead of letting him have the revenge that he wanted. And of course, that's when things between those two started separating. So there we go. And like I said, you had a lot of things going on. The barrage balloons, things like that. It was a great battle, and it's a battle that's not really taught too much in the extreme. There are some great movies out there, but I'm gonna honestly say the best thing to watch is the actual video of the news for the news coverage of D-Day, of Normandy. That's the best videos to watch, and you can watch it in World War II in color. World War II in color. Watch those. There is some narration on there. It's very, very good. It's probably my best documentary, my favorite documentary on D-Day, and the start of the collapse of the German Third Reich. So, either way, I'm going to leave y'all today with those little tidbits of history. Let me know which videos that you want to see. What military history do you want to see, or any other historical stuff going on that you want me to talk about, break down, simplify. Whatever it is that you want me to talk about, please let me know. Either way, I love all you guys. Y'all have a great day, great night. Peace out.